Connecticut's Democratic Governor Dan Malloy joins me now. Governor, thank you so much for being on the show.
Great to be with you.
Connecticut has some of the worst economic inequality throughout the country, income inequality. It's something that you are right there, 1-2, right next to New York State. How much of your push for the 10-10 minimum wage was to try and close this gap? And with it not coming into effect in 2017, when do you feel you'll see some real results on that?
Well, we've already raised the minimum wage by 45 cents this year, this past January 1st, and then we'll take 3 additional steps to get to 10-10. We think it's the right thing to do. No one in this country should work 40 hours a week and live in poverty, and we certainly want to lift the base wage in the state of Connecticut. We believe it's the right thing to do, and it will bring about some prosperity, or at least additional prosperity in the community. So we want to lift families, we want to lift women out of poverty who are working 40 hours a week.
Your state has one of the highest tax burdens in the United States, and a lot of your critics have said it's not been alleviated enough in order to stop businesses fleeing from the state. Can you simultaneously do things like raise the minimum wage, increase the social safety net, and still be friendly to business interests that want to come in?
Sure, and that's what we're doing. The reality is we've seen 52,000 jobs. Well, 52,000 jobs have been created since I became governor. We have attracted businesses and companies from out of state to move in-state. We have a new relationship with United Technologies, our largest employer with 27,000 employees, where they're going to continue to locate Pratt & Whitney engines in East Hartford, build a new headquarters, build a new engineering center, and be there for at least 15 years while they're producing some of the greatest engines ever made for the airline industry and the defense industry. We do have disparity of income. We do have a large portion of our population which is based in Fairfield County, where I'm actually from, where I was mayor of the city of Stamford, and a lot of those folks make a lot of money, and so it's not unusual to see where you have high income to have a high tax collection. But the reality is that we're cutting taxes this year. We're also giving taxpayers a refund. We've taken a state from a $3.6 billion deficit, which is where it was when I was elected, to a $500 million surplus. Every dollar in the rainy day fund had been spent, $1.7 billion. On July 1st, we'll have $550 million back in the rainy day fund. I want to lower taxes, and we're beginning that as we speak here in the state of Connecticut. In fact, we've already lowered some taxes even last year. So we're going to be aggressive about holding down taxes, making sure government's more efficient. One of the things that I've been able to do while I was governor is to lower the number of people working for government, and we're very proud of that as well.
And when you say that, will you have things like tax-free zones, a la what Governor Cuomo has in New York State? Will you follow that lead?
We have tax-reduced zones in some of our urban areas, very substantial reductions, up to 80% for 5 years. We also have a very broad array of economic development tools to use to attract businesses and retain businesses and grow businesses in our state, and we've been very good at that. In the 9 years before I was governor, our state government invested in, alongside of, made loans to or grants to 119 companies. Since I've been governor, we've interacted with 1,600 companies. It's one of the reasons that we're seeing economic growth. It's one of the reasons we're seeing job growth in the state of Connecticut. We are particularly concentrating on small businesses, which actually grow the largest number of jobs in our economy.
You took the lead after the tragedy in Newtown and passed some of the most sweeping gun reform legislation throughout the entire United States. Have you seen tangible results in the terms of the number of guns registered and guns off the streets, or is it still a work in progress? There were some reports of hundreds of thousands of assault weapons that have gone unreported within the state.
Yeah, I don't believe there are hundreds of thousands of weapons that are unreported. People are complying with the law. What we have been able to do is stop 15 people who in domestic disputes had restraining orders against them. We stopped them from buying weapons. We stopped 50-plus folks with mental illness backgrounds from acquiring weapons in the state of Connecticut. We no longer allow for the sale of assault weapons in our state. We have universal backgrounds, which vast majority of Americans, and certainly people in Connecticut, agree with. So we're very proud of what we've done in our state to make our state safer. And in point of fact, crime is lower now in Connecticut than at any time since 1968. And our population, by the way, is about 500,000 more people than we had in 1968. We're doing a pretty good job at making people safer in the state of Connecticut.
Lastly, just on the issue of Newtown, for someone who serves as governor, how much of a psychological impact does that still have on the state? And do you worry that that is sort of what the state has been known for, at least in the national media, over the last few years when you're going around the country? Is that one of the first things people always bring up to you? Is that sort of the definition of Connecticut right now?
Well, I mean, I think this was a tragedy played out on a national level. I've become very close to a number of the families that lost their loved ones, and went to 12 or 13 of the funerals and another 12 or so wakes. It is a moving experience. The strength of these parents is quite amazing. The dedication that they have to making Connecticut safer, their community safer, and recovering is quite amazing. But certainly it does come up. But I think we've taken that tragedy and turned it into good law, and we are supporting the families and supporting the community, and I'm proud of the effort that we've done with respect to that support.
Governor Dan Malloy, a double Boston College Eagle, thank you so much for being on the Daily Rundown. Take care.